Hey YouTubers, this is Kevin again. Today I'm pretty much going to be showing you guys how to put piston rings on. It's not the easiest thing to do, I would say, in fear of breaking them. These thicker ones here are a little bit more brittle, so it's kind of hard to get them on. I know when I was taking them off I was having a little bit of a hard time trying not to snap them. But they were old, so that could have been the possibility. But yeah, so here's the piston I'm going to be working with. As you can tell, you have your notch right here, which tells you that faces the front of the motor. So typically what I do is have that notch facing forward. You get this bottom piston ring here, one that allows the oil to flow through. Pretty much pop it in. Pop it in there and slowly loop her around like so. Typically I like to have the opening here. Not sure if you guys can see that. The opening directly behind the forward facing line indicator. Alright. Then you have the rings that lock it in. You want to start, I typically put them in you're going to have to clock your piston rings either which way, but I like to put them in pretty much in an X pattern with the opening of the oil ring here. It's directly behind the center line of the front facing indicator. So I usually start with this one right here. Pretty much just make an X pattern with your rings is what I like to do. And you kind of just push her back. And just kind of give it a little bit of tension back and it kind of slides on into place. Now you want to make sure you pick this end up and you don't scratch the side of the piston wall right here. If you do, you could probably just get some like 1000 grit sandpaper or something and kind of buff it out, but you want to try to avoid scratching it at all possible. And you get your next one, and like I said, I always do like an X pattern. Put it directly across on the beginning, where you started, where your gap is going to be. So that would be there. And the same thing, kind of get your end in, loop her around, hard or open, and just kind of slide her around as you go. There it is. Now, the next one, the second ring from the top, doesn't have any indicators on it, nor does it have any specific bevels. And from what I was reading, at least for my pistons, it can go in either which direction. I'm not sure if you can see that there. But there's no indicators on there. Unlike the top piston ring. Not sure if you can see that. See if it focuses. See that little dot right about there? That's the indicator telling you that it's the top ring, and that's the way it faces up. So you want to face it towards the top of your piston like so. So we'll leave that one for last. Like I said, I always make like an X pattern. So my next one, I'd go back over here. Now this one's a little trickier because it is a pretty stiff ring. So you want to be careful not to break it. And just like the other ones, kind of just pull her out a little bit by pushing on the front here and work your way down and around. Get her lined up as you go. There we go. Try to push her in so you don't have so much tension against you, so you don't snap the ring. There we go, she's sliding in. And that does it for that one. Now you don't have to be right on point with where your gaps are. They're going to move around regardless, and like I said, you need to figure out what clocking position your motors are, your piston rings are at for your motor. Mine, I've done some research on it, and I'll go ahead and clock them later, but this is just how I put them in. And after you put the piston in the cylinder anyways, that they're going to shift around. So this will just guarantee that, you know, you won't have any blow by with the oil coming up in a straight path. Like I said before, this one here is your top ring. You see the indicator right there. So this is facing up like so. And if you look closely, I'm not sure if you'll be able to see it in the camera, there's a slight bevel on that one. Kind of bevels in like so. So this being the top, with this bevel, it would actually make it a little bit easier to kind of drop it on in onto the piston. So this one I'm going to put directly across from the secondary ring, which would be right here. Once again, make sure your dot is on the top, or whatever indicator you have. Drop it on in. And apart it, make sure you kind of walk it in as you go, just so you don't have too much tension on the ring. And there you go. That pretty much does it right there. So this piston is pretty much ready to rock and be dropped into the cylinder. You have to get a compression tool to squeeze them all down and make sure it fits. So yeah, if this helped you out and you liked the video, please hit the like button and subscribe to my channel. Thank you. Hope you enjoyed the video.